Hey, what's up guys? Jackson here with Toasty DIY, and it is a bright day out. Sadly, not a fun day for the 280Z, because the other day I was driving it, and this is a 78 280Z that has an L28ET swap, so basically just a 1982 turbo 280ZX engine in it. And I heard kind of like a little bit of a pop when I was under some pretty high boost, like around 12 PSI, and then it just started sounding kind of like a really bad exhaust manifold leak, like almost like a machine gun going off. You know, and the faster you revved it, obviously the faster you had those little sounds. And sure enough, you know, I took everything apart because I'm like, okay, I cannot see an immediate leak on the turbo exhaust manifold, and I couldn't find one on the underside of the intake either. So I'm like, uh-oh. So I'm thinking, you know, okay, there's either a hole in the block somewhere, or really what ended up being the problem wasn't really what I was thinking, but it's a head gasket, long story short. I might even be able to show you guys. I was actually able to see the issue with my fingers. So right here, there's a piece of head gasket sticking out. I think it's right there. Actually, no, it's right here. If you can see that little frayed wire, you know, this is a composite head gasket, so it has, like, you know, reinforcing metal and everything in it. Well, I saw that sticking out, and I was like, so I basically came over here with a leak down test, which is basically, it looks just like this. This is it. You hook the threading of this up to the spark plug hole, and then you can force air through it using your air compressor, and sure enough, you're able to, and I'll show a clip, you can, on the number 6 cylinder, you can actually feel air coming straight out of the head, and not in a good way. It's not coming out the exhaust or the intake, but it's actually coming out in this area there. So yeah, sadly, head gasket leak. And you know, I think that the head gasket actually been bad for a while, because check this out. I was really convinced that it's rust. I still kind of think it's rust, but I don't know. It kept coming back. Like, I changed the radiator fluid like once, and then it was clean, but then when I just drained it, my hand got like drenched in you know, a very brown fluid, and you know, the radiator fluid in here is green. And all the brown fluid came out first, which I don't remember which way it goes, but I think oil sits at the bottom, while water and antifreeze will sit at the top. So if that's the case, and that's exactly what was happening. You know, we've had a bad head gasket basically the whole time I've had this engine. It does have 105,000 miles on it, I believe. Who knows, it could have more, it could have less, because I think this actually came out of a 240Z that was already swapped when I got this engine, but I didn't really do anything to it. I literally cleaned the whole thing up, might have done like a couple bolt-ons, and I just stuck it in here. Runs great though. I mean, I've, you know, 12 PSI, no problem, but obviously we ran into a problem, so you know, there's not a ton more to go. I already have the valve cover off as well, all the intake stuff off, all the wiring harness stuff disconnected. Let's see what we have on the other side to take off. So we just need to basically just disconnect the spark plug wires. Probably go ahead and take the plugs out as well. That stuff's not even connected to the head, so let's see. Actually, this is connected to the head. This little heater hose that goes inside the car. So I'll need to take that off. I'll need to kind of get this a little bit looser, and then I'll probably just leave the water stuff on, because I'm going to replace that as well. But yeah, really not much more to go, and then we'll see exactly what the head gasket looks like. Kind of excited, honestly. We also need to make sure that the piston rings look good. We don't see like any scoring on the cylinder walls. Make sure that all of the valves are good. I am planning on, I don't want to go cheap this time. I've done head gaskets a couple times, and I've gone cheap every time and just bought a new gasket and kind of called it a day, and I've never felt good about it. I actually want to take the head to a machine shop and have them, you know, grind, polish the valves, add new valve seals. I just want them to do everything for me on the head, so the head is perfect. Assuming that the block is good and everything in the block is good, then it should be take the head to a machine shop, have all that done. I'll order a whole gasket kit. I'll replace the head gasket and some of the other gaskets while I'm in there. Put the head back on from the machine shop, and then butt everything back up. I also have a couple of minor upgrades for the car. I got a non-webbed intake, so basically an intake that's off of a, I believe it would be like a 260 or an early 280Z. So still fuel injected, it just doesn't have these webs in the middle. So you can actually get to everything easier, and you can see everything better. And it's also non-EGR, so you don't have to worry about like these giant bungs. There's not this on the side. Like, it's just a lot cleaner looking. It's a little bit smaller too. So to my knowledge, everything should just bolt right onto it though, hopefully. That'd really suck if it didn't, but we'll see. The only thing I think I have to worry about is there is this PCV valve on the bottom, so I'll either need to do like a PCV valve delete and you know, just run the what do you call them, the little breather valves, or you know, drill a hole in the bottom and tap it with a tap and die, basically run a new one. All right, so let's go ahead and get to doing it. All right, we are now on the home stretch to get the actual aluminum head off of the cast iron block. So one of the things that I wanted to point out here is that we have a special tool that's actually designed just for L series engines. You have your timing chain, which connects your crank to your camshaft, and you want to line your engine up with top dead center. You should have your rotor facing about that area. Of course, you're going to have a tick mark on your crank that's going to line up, which is right here, right above 0. And then also, I've already taken off, but your cam gear, the number 1, should be facing up, if I remember everything correctly. And also, your number 1 piston will be at the top of its travel, so you can stick a screwdriver in there and it shouldn't go down. It should be like flat with the top of the spark plug hole. So this tool here is awesome. You want to wedge it down in there. There is a spring at the bottom, a tensioner, that it is insane on these engines because it's like a meme at this point, but that spring loves to shoot out, and if it does shoot out, at that point you have to take pretty much the rest of the engine apart. I mean, you have to take off the whole entire oil pan, and you have to take the what's called the distributor gear out for the oil pump drive. It's just a whole mess. You don't want to have to do it, so make sure you put something like that in there. I prefer the actual tool. I've tried using like wood and stuff like that before, and just it's a very mediocre success rate. Like sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. So that tool there, wedge it down in there. Take your sprocket off because the sprocket will not fit through, or the head won't fit over the sprocket. So you just kind of take your chain off the sprocket and kind of, you know, curl it down on top of your tool. So basically, once we take off these Allen head, which these are our actual head bolts. These don't use studs. You just take these guys out with an impact. It will at least require an impact. It might even require a breaker bar if your impact's not strong enough. I don't think mine will be strong enough, so we'll see. Might have to use the breaker bar, but yeah, taking these things out is pretty scary because there's these things love to break off, even though they're so thick and strong. They've been in there for 40 years, and if you have had any coolant leaks, your coolant will get around those head bolts and you know, rust them out. So I have seen them break off before. Cross our fingers here that these don't. And I'll get back to you guys once we get this off. All right, so just got the head off. Let's see what we got here. So, obviously you have a lot of coolant. That's not from, you know, the head necessarily leaking. That's just when you take the head off, any of the coolant that's inside the coolant passage just pours into there. One thing I do notice right away is I'm honestly not like super, you know, I don't know these engines in and out, but I am wondering if these guys here are coolant passages that are blocked. Like I said, really not for sure, but I mean, it's obvious that there's some blockage in some areas. These here are just the screw holes. We had no studs break, so that was definitely good. Now, I mean, yeah, these guys here are definitely not good, but yeah, here's our problem. Very obvious. You can literally see where it just blew the ring out from the actual head. It also looks like there's a couple like that are a little bit warped as well. Here's a really big coolant passage there, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't look terrible by any means. That piston doesn't look, you know, too bad or anything either, luckily. Definitely, you know, dirty, but for 105 to 110,000 miles at this point, it's really not terrible. I definitely want to dry this stuff out, get that coolant that poured in there off so we don't get rust in the cylinder walls, and I'm going to WD-40 the walls, or you could always use engine oil as well, but I'll probably WD-40 and then wipe the walls down really good. But yeah, the walls don't look bad at all. Let me actually get a light in there and we'll see if we can see like any cross hatching or anything like that. I mean, the walls are definitely smooth, like very smooth. You can still kind of see a little bit of cross hatching in there, so that's actually pretty good. I don't really see any like major grooves. I mean, you know, we really should check all of them to be sure. Like you can see, we have, since we're top dead center, the 2 outers up, but yeah, no, I mean, they look pretty good. I've definitely seen a lot worse than this, so you know, I'll take that as a victory for the most part. You can see that the tops of the pistons are a little bit you know, dirty, scorched, whatever you want to call it, but overall not too bad. So yeah, the actual head we have over here, I don't know if you guys saw the video. God, that was freaking awful. I forgot how heavy these heads are. I had to hook up a ratchet strap up there. See, if you had 2 people, this would be easy, but I didn't. I was really eager to get the head off, so I didn't want to wait. Just hooked that side up and then held with my hand on the other. Not the most convenient method. I did scratch the car a little bit too, but hey, paint's not great anyway, so no big deal. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. You know, overall, definitely not too bad. I'm happy to see that nothing looks terrible and it's very obvious what the issue is. I think there's nothing worse than when you get the car apart and you can't really tell what the issue is. I think that's just awful. But yeah, you can see it looks like the head gasket was on its way out. I mean, look at, there's a couple of them that, like, the actual head gasket's like not even circular anymore. It's like, you know, oval in some spots. So definitely, you know, needed the gasket repair. Now, if anything else is out on the way, you know, I'm not 100% sure. This is about where my expertise for the most part ends, you know, is just getting the head off and recognizing a bad head gasket, and we definitely have one of those here. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and WD-40 all this really well, just to make sure we don't get any rust on these cylinder walls when we get the head milled and everything like that. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching this video. Hopefully I'll probably get some more videos of this again. I know I kind of stopped for a while because really, after I got the car running and driving pretty well, I didn't really touch it. You know, it was doing really good. But now that we have some new parts coming, I'm also making a custom fuel rail for it. You know, getting the head machine and everything. We'll get some good videos of all this, you know, getting put back together. So like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.